You know, I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's your day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Her father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you?
Your girlfriend is a badass.
Welcome to Above the Garage, a Nick and June, the Handmaid's Tale podcast. Hi, friends. Welcome to our spoiler-free analysis of Season 2, Episode 10, which is The Last Ceremony. Let's do our round of introductions and dive in.
Hi, I'm Scarlett.
Hi, I'm Marigold.
Hi, I'm Ginger.
Hi, I'm Megan.
And I'm Kate. So this episode starts lovely. Emily's being raped by a whole new man. Exciting. And June's doing the voiceover. The typical, you treat it like a job, an unpleasant job to be gotten through as fast as possible. Kissing is forbidden. This makes it bearable. One detaches oneself. One describes an act of copulation, fertilization, perhaps. No more to you than a bee is to a flower. You steal yourself. You pretend not to be present, not in the flesh. You leave your body. And this guy's orgasm is so gross. I really hope he dies. And he does. Roy was his name, as it turns out, because the wife is yelling it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. And it's so like I love the rest of the scene because Emily's hilarious. Like the way that she's watching on her like elbows, like some casual scene is playing out in front of her. And the wife's like, get help. And she's like, oh, the odds are better if I remain on my back, remain laying down. And the look that she gives her, like she's a monster. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. And so like then the wife like rushes downstairs, which is nice because then gives Emily a chance to kick him a couple times. Brilliant scene.
And she stepped on his private parts, which I never noticed before.
Yeah, she stomped on him. I love that.
He deserved that stomp.
Had it coming.
Yeah. Rewatching this, like I'm like, damn, Emily is such a badass. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, I agree. She's way less timid than I ever thought. Like I thought she played a little more timid and then behind the scenes. But no, she's angry and badass 100% of the time. It's just her look that, I don't know, somehow it's just perfect because you wouldn't expect it of her. I don't know. That was some sort of prejudice of me. But so then it's June at the market. What are the skulls she's looking at?
I think they're
No.
So gross. Like, do they eat that?
It looks like dogs. I mean, I'm not good at identifying. I'm sure it's not. But I was looking for word. I was like, where's the description? And then I was like, oh shit, it's Gilead. There's no words anywhere.
I don't know. They seem too small to be like cow's head.
Yeah, they're really small
I
and
don't know.
pointed.
What would they be used for? Aren't they at the meat market?
Yeah, we have these like huge iguanas here I'm in Puerto Rico, and they seemed similar, but I have no idea. I've never seen like a skull of one of those, but it looked reptile-like. It was just gross.
We don't have huge reptiles here though. Maybe in the deep dive, I'll Google that because I'm curious. So the handmaids are gossiping about whether he died inside Emily or not. And June's just being affected by things. And I think she's trying to make her way over to Emily. And she's got to go by Eden first, who's being especially Eden-like. And she is excitedly thinking about baking a sweet custard pie for tonight. And June says, okay, as if she absolutely could not care less, because she absolutely could not care less.
Exactly.
But Isaac says it sounds good to me, and they clearly fancy each other. I hate Isaac, though, since the last episode when he hit Janine in the face with the butt of his gun. Anyway, and she's like doubled over then afterwards, like pain, cramping, something's going on. But she does make it over to Emily and Janine. And Janine, happily probably, because it's Janine, tells her that Emily's getting a new posting. And June's like desperate to get a message to Emily, like to get through to her. Like, don't give up. Moira made it to Canada. You can make it to Canada. You can get back to Oliver. And she's like, whatever, I'm not his mother anymore. And I love how Emily is just, how June's like so tough and like, no, you listen to me, we're going to get to Canada. Yeah. And June also like, when what she's saying isn't getting through to her, she switches to trying to make her feel guilty. She's like, your son is in Canada safe. Like you can't give up. At least you have that. I don't have that. And then she appears to go into labor. Everyone's very excited. Oh, and then the next shot is the ambulance pulling up at the Waterford's house. And I love this scene.
I love this.
There's lots of excited Marthas and wives on the street, but Nick is like gets there first and opens the doors, and he looks like very concerned at first. And she's so happy to see him. The smile on her face in the ambulance is adorable. And this time I noticed for the first time, Eden kind of looks up at Isaac, like, I don't know, guiltily, but they haven't done anything yet, so I don't think it was required, but she does look up at him. And he helps her down, and when he sees her, she's okay. He smiles at her, and she smiles at him, and it's all loving and adorable.
Their heart
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite.
I mean, like, I honestly was trying to pretend, I rewound it and tried to pretend like they were two people that didn't love each other. And like, there's no way anyone could not tell watching that scene.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me laugh. I really, really love this scene so much, but it's hilarious to me that like there are so many people
Yes, all staring at them.
They do not care. They only have eyes for each other. It's like everything falls away. And actually what I thought was really funny that I don't really think I've paid attention before, Nick did not look at Eden once. Like I don't think he even I don't realize she was there. Like he didn't acknowledge her, which I just thought was,
and she is there the whole time, like staring at them. It's pretty...
I mean, this was obviously the scene when she realizes that Nick is in love with June.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's putting it together there. Exactly.
It's impossible for the stupidest person on the planet to have not seen that in that scene. It's crazy. And I love it.
It's also like another one of those little like tiny moments of normalcy where they're just two people who are about to have a baby. It's like they don't care to think about what's going to happen once that baby comes.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually in the script now, or that screen.
It is. It is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should post that this week on Twitter or Instagram. Yeah, the script to screen. And it says this is like their moment as a,
Family.
Yeah.
Their moment. They're going to bring their baby into the world, even though it's going to be taken away from them.
They're ignoring that part for the moment.
Moment is theirs.
Yeah, and it's just sweet that like, even though this is an awful thing and like they're going to have a baby who's going to be ripped away from them and raised by the Waterfords, it's like they have that ability with each other to just forget that for a minute and just,
Well, it's because it can't be changed. It is their baby, even though it will be taken. It doesn't change that baby's DNA. It's their baby being brought into the world. They can't take that away from them, at least.
No. I think it's sweet. Like, as soon as he realizes she's healthy, she's okay, he smiles and says, let's go up. And they start walking up the stairs and he's got his arm around her. And I think he's holding her hand with the other one. And they just literally just hard eyes each other the entire way up the stairs. And it's the sweetest. And it's snowing and it's just a beautiful scene. I love that early on they figured out how well the handmade cloaks work with snow. Yeah. And they produce snow for like most scenes because it really is beautiful.
I love that in this scene too. Like this is the only time that it would be acceptable for Nick to like show any physical affection in public. I was like,
and he takes advantage. And Eden's at the bottom of the stairs watching them still, looking really sad.
But like not only he's got his hand on her back, but he's also holding her hand. So I feel like he's like, let me take all my hands, put them on her. It's one moment that I can.
It's super sweet until Serena bursts out and bursts their bubble. And she kneels before her and spits out some crazy Bible stuff. While Nick looks miserable, he puts his like hand on his head and he makes eye contact with June. And I took a couple pictures of that just on my iPad because I really like the look. I'll have to send it to you guys. And then she stands and she grabs June's hand and she tries to get June to revel in her baby kidnapping with her. And Serena says, we did it, Offred, and this is the will of God and we should rejoice and be glad in it. And June death stares her and says, no one knows the things of God. And then walks around her.
I hate that when she says that. It's how delusional is she to think that they did it, and and that June will be like, we did. I mean, she has told June that, I mean, as soon as this baby's born, you're out of here. We're taking it from you and we're shipping you off. And I can't believe that she thought June would have any type of reaction towards that.
Like now they're a team again.
Now they're a team. In about a few hours, you're gonna take that baby from my arms and you're gonna ship me off. Like, get out of here, lady.
It is infuriating.
But I do love that like Nick and June just continue their like sweet walk after that.
They're like, whatever,
kind of like the middle finger to her.
And he also turns back and like death stares her, which is good because he doesn't get enough death stares at Serena.
I love the Nick death stares, and it's like he reserves them for Serena, and I just love it. Well, Fred too, but
Fred I feel like more, but I enjoy the Serena ones.
Just as a side note, though, now when I watch this scene, I think of that article where they said that they sing Taylor Swift when they go inside.
Yeah, that's what they did when they got inside as actors, obviously not characters. And then June's in Serena's bedroom for what she thinks will be the last time. And she puts her hand on the bedpost when she's having a cramp, but when she realizes she's got her hand on the bedpost, she seems like disgusted and takes it away and walks away. And she's looking lovingly at her baby. And then she hears footsteps of the handmaids and Aunt Lydia's orders. And
I love that little moment with her and her baby. Like there's just like a moment of peace, and then
it was super sweet.
Yeah.
And too short.
There are birds chirping. So we always, kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
Which is nice though, especially after she was like checking out of that pregnancy, like, in episode 5. And so like it's nice to see her bonding again.
Connection. Yeah. And then Janine runs in first. And she's super psyched and tells the baby, little one, it's time to come out. And Aunt Lydia is just spouting more righteousness at her. And I don't even know what she's saying. And Emily looks angry for her. Downstairs, Rita's excited the flowers are arriving. Nixon's study with commanders looking kind of pissed off and probably nervous. And they're praising another commander for having had his own baby and not needing a handmaid. And he overhears other commanders like demeaning June and just looks pissed.
Something that caught my attention is that they were talking about Commander Horace and they said, that he just got promoted because of his wife's pregnancy. I mean, I know we haven't heard anything about that anymore, but it was curious to me that he got a promotion just because he got his wife pregnant.
Right. So that's why I think Fred looked at him kind of jealously, because he knows like this new crop of men seems to be fertile. The ones that are about, 10 to 15 years younger, maybe, that, were in like Nick's positions. They were guardians assigned wives, and now they're moving up because they can impregnate their wives. And the more they'll be able to continue to do that and have big families. So they're kind of like a social currency to keep creating these kids. And they're going to move up. They're going to keep being rewarded for, giving children. And Fred probably is like, feels threatened and jealous.
Yeah, they don't need handmaids either.
No.
Well, because he said, may the Lord bless all future commanders as he blessed us. And he looked at Fred like it was a dig to him, or like a dig to the handmaid.
Well, that's the goal of Gilead, though, too, eventually, right? Is to hopefully, get fertility and all that stuff back in where they can phase out handmaids. I mean, I know it's a power thing, too, so they'll probably always use them because there will always be fertility issues and people will always need their plaything. So I'm sure there'll always be supplied to those who need it.
Gilead sucks.
I love Nick in the scene though, because like when Rita walks in, he looks so desperate for anything
news.
But then like as soon as he hears Fred and the other commander like talking about how June she's fruitful and not bad looking, like he's staring daggers at him. Again, one of his Nick death stares, and I love it.
It's so gross, these dirty old men.
And then Serena is doing the fake birth thing.
That's just horrible.
So creepy.
Can't help but laugh. Like I laugh. I know. I think this is so. How do they not laugh when they're doing that?
I know, but I think it's so funny that Zane mentioned that specifically as like a day of filming he can't stand. I can't be in the house when the wives are doing the birth thing. I just have to get out. And I'm like, oh my God, that's how I picture it. Because watching it for like a minute is too much. So like filming it all day, oh my God.
And it's so funny because Serena, it's like she actually looks serene, like her name, and it's like the happiest I think we've ever seen her, and it's just she's loving this.
She's glowing
because she's in the spotlight. Everybody's focused on her.
So the fake birth thing, so fucking insane. When Aunt Lydia interrupts and they all rush up to June where they find out it was false labor, and June is sitting on Serena's bed just like gloating gloriously. And Emily's biting back a smile, and Serena looks like she wants to murder someone.
I love how like June is like cradling her pregnant belly, like this
Oh,
is
yeah.
my belly, or this is my baby. Like,
Yeah.
Still my baby, Serena.
it's very like power stance.
Yeah, she has the power, you know, still. Yeah. And that humiliated Serena.
Yeah. I mean, every time June didn't get pregnant or, had her period or what, she always like punishes her and gets angry at her for like things that she has no power over. So June may as well gloat while she can.
But then it's even more glorious because then Lydia's like, maybe you should time the contractions next time. Like Serena's even more pissed.
Everybody's there, so it's like, okay, false alarm. So it's really humiliating for her, which is just amazing.
I love it when Aunt Lydia scolds Serena, like with the smoking. That's my favorite thing.
Aunt Lydia's got some zingers in this episode. Like she's not my person, but I like her in this episode.
Yeah, you can tell she does not like Serena. Like, she just doesn't like her or Fred.
And then we see Rita opening the doors of the commander's study and whispering to Nick, who looks smug. I don't know, something.
He's thrilled to tell Fred that it's not happening.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
like F you. Yeah.
He and June are both enjoying their false celebrations falling through. And the doctor, I like that Rita told Nick too.
I like that too.
Yeah. The doctor's examining June upstairs and says that her cervix is closed and she's 0% of face and her baby isn't coming anytime soon. Serena demands she be induced today. Just more evidence of her not caring about the baby's health as much as she hates June.
But this confused me though, because I mean, she's like clearly not in labor. So did nobody check her like at all?
Know. It's weird.
It's weird because I mean,
I assumed she was in some day of early labor, I don't know.
You would think they would make sure before they called
everybody,
the whole town to come witness this birth. You think they would have timed it and they would have done their check? Because
it's possible that Serena like overrode
jumped the gun.
She was so like, no, she's definitely having it, Yeah. Okay, so they're not going to do. They said the baby is 9 pounds already, though. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's true.
I mean, she's only what 5'3". I mean,
you'd have to.
But I will say from experience, doctors are not always very accurate at predicting how much a baby weighs before they come.
True.
What was your differential?
I was told that my son was going to be like 9 or 10 pounds, and I think he was 8.
Yeah.
And he was a C-section baby, so he had more fluids. So like he wasn't that big, but they made it sound like I was going to give birth to like a 12-pound baby. So.
Oh my God.
And so Serena restates that June's got to go to a posting in a new district. And June says, I agree, Mrs. Waterford. It's been lovely, but it's probably best that we never see each other again. And I like the look that Aunt Lydia like looks at her and shakes her head, but she let her get away with it. June goes to Fred in his office and asks to be moved to Hannah's district if it's within his power, which I would have thought was a good move because he'd want to like show off his power, but it was not.
That's a mistake.
No, it pissed him off.
Yeah,
that was a huge mistake on her part.
June promises she'd never see Hannah, and Fred tells her that he's been too indulgent, spoiled her too much, and tells her to get out. And then he screams at her to get out, and she starts to leave, tears in her eyes, and then she turns around, and I love this moment. And she puts her hands on the desk and said, I shouldn't have expected you to understand. You have no idea what it's like to have a child of your own flesh and blood. And she has like a little head tilt and shrug, and you never will. So she's just restating that you're not the father of this baby, and it's delightful.
Yeah.
But
I love that, like in the past, she would always like have those pauses where she turned into like manipulative June, but this time like it wasn't manipulative June. It was just June. Yeah.
I wonder why he had such a tantrum. I mean, do you think some of it could have been because he was also like realizing he's gonna lose his plaything, like his handmaid? Because do you get a handmaid again after
I don't think
this?
So.
Yeah, and we know he likes his toys.
He was embarrassed too, though.
Right. I mean, I think it was a lot of things, but I wonder if he was like processing, like, okay, this is it for me too. Like, she's gonna be gone.
Yeah,
I'm here with Serena and this baby that's not even mine.
June is very like feisty in this episode, and it contrasts to the fact that she's about to run out of time. So she's kind of leaving with a bang, because once she has the baby, she's not going to have any power play. She's just going to be sent out. So she's just running her mouth left and right, and I love it. And obviously nothing's going to happen to her, but I wonder because she's trying to find a way to get something, at least see Hannah. And she's not getting it. And even if she's not getting it, she's like, I'm leaving with a bang. I'm just going to run my mouth. I love it.
I do too. Quite enjoyable. But she's really pissing off the Waterfords, both of them at the same time. So,
right, Serena frantically gardening.
Yes, Serena, when she's upset, she frantically gardens, and that's what she's doing. And Fred goes in there. They mainly talk in the greenhouse. They don't talk much. Fred goes into the greenhouse to complain about June, and Serena's all ready for that. She's teary-eyed, saying she thinks June enjoyed this. She did.
She did.
Yvonne is an amazing actress. I just really love her. And then Serena has to go and say something completely vile. I think the best way is the most natural way. Those evil fucks. So they're both fully guilty of this violent rape. They literally just planned it together in the greenhouse and didn't go execute it.
But it was still Serena's idea.
Yep. I got so mad this time around, like madder than the first time for some reason.
But I think it works to Serena's advantage, though, that if June didn't piss Fred off, maybe he would have, I don't know, said no or wouldn't have easily gone along with it. But I feel like because he's already pissed off at June, and I do think that maybe the two of them are also pissed at her because she's the reason why they're embarrassed in front of everybody that this baby didn't come. So I think the combination of all that makes Fred like easily go along with her plan because he's angry too.
Yeah.
Well, it shows Serena's state of mind because not only is a woman planning the rape of another woman, she's allowing her husband. So obviously she had issues before when she found out that Fred and June were having a thing, but now it's okay for him. Obviously this is not a consensual relationship, but you're okay with him raping her violently at 9 months pregnant. So I really don't understand how you come back from this, but that's just my opinion.
And it's a high risk pregnancy. Like even the doctor said he doesn't even want to induce her medically because she's at a high risk. And we know what happened with the whole bleeding thing. So like, it's even more mind boggling that you desperately want this baby. So you're going to let your husband not just have sex with her, but actually rape her. And then, she's a high risk pregnancy. So you may cause something awful to happen during labor where you may not get this baby, but she can't even see that.
Right. And she's willing to take that risk. But she hates June more than she cares about this baby. Fact.
Exactly.
Right. She's proven it over and over again.
Yep.
And also more than she hates Fred, because a few episodes ago, Fred hit her, crossed that line. And now she's willing to team up with Fred to do something even more horrible.
Well, she was willing to come back to Gilead the next episode. For some reason, that was never a deal breaker for her. I don't understand.
I think it's interesting. So it was last episode that the rape scene was cut from the script between Fred and Serena. I wonder if it has something to do with the rape in this episode. Like if they thought Serena wouldn't have gone along with it, or she wouldn't have suggested it, I guess, if she was just raped recently.
I feel like she would have even more so.
Oh, you think so?
If she wanted to hurt someone else more than she was, but either way, it's too much rape. I agree with the decision, and obviously it could go either way. Maybe Serena would be more compassionate. I don't know. It's hard to tell with Serena.
She doesn't have compassion though.
No.
And if she does, it lasts for 5 seconds and then it's gone. So
So June's in a room talking to her baby, kind of sadly, I'll always love you. This is my voice, this is your mom, kind of like a we're gonna be split up soon kind of chat. And Rita comes in and says that Serena wants to see her. And as June walks by, Rita tearfully says, I'll tell the baby about you. And then when June gets to Serena's room, she asks her to just please come sit on the bed, and she does. And then you hear Fred's footsteps and he shuts the door, and then she starts to get it, and Serena puts her hand on hers, except she's more like holding her wrist.
Well, she started out holding her hand and then moved it to her wrist, so that transition was
scary, as it should be. And Serena tells her we need to help the baby come out naturally. And it's slowly dawning on June what she's intending, and then she starts begging Serena, no, it's not safe for the baby, it's dangerous for the baby, stop. She's yelling stop. Fred's quoting some Bible verse, I think. I don't even know, because June's
the ceremony.
Is it the same one?
Yeah, he's quoting the ceremony verse.
gross.
I think that's the most disturbing part of this. The fact that you're not only raping a 9-month pregnant woman, but you're doing it while you're quoting the Bible.
God.
Because he's justifying the ceremony. They're doing the last ceremony. Obviously, it's not, condoned by Gilead.
No, they're just trying to make themselves feel like it's acceptable, and it's not, because that's not even prescribed. That's not even what you're supposed to be doing in Gilead. The ceremony is for trying to create a baby, not
kill one,
get a baby out.
Plus, all of this goes against everything that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. First and foremost.
I even Googled like the science behind it. I Googled will having sex induce labor.
Right.
And it says having sex will not cause labor before your body is ready to deliver. Instead, the uterine contractions and oxytocin may simply augment the processes that are already at work. So I'm pretty sure it's the woman's orgasm that really induces the labor.
It's both. It's softening of the cervix with the semen, but it needs the orgasm too. And that she would not be.
Does not apply here.
Pointless then, I guess.
Yeah.
I guarantee though, like Fred will go and write this new ceremony into the books if he can afterwards.
Gross.
Probably.
Yeah, you're right.
But you know what gets me too? Like, again, besides the fact that he's raping her, like he's doing it really forcefully too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So like, again, this is a high risk pregnancy, and
he has to do it forceful because she's fighting back,
I think it's a power move too, though, because he feels powerful. It's like, oh, I put her in her place now,
Yeah, he seems to enjoy the fact that it's a rape, where she's actually fighting back. Like, he even like moaned. I mean, he seemed to get off on the fact that it was her fighting back, that it was a rape, because in the, regular ceremonies, they detach themselves and they don't make a noise. But this like got him off, and it was disturbing.
Yeah.
It just shows how horrible a man he is, that would excite him.
When he was talking to Serena, that's exactly what he said. She's forgotten her place. So that's him putting her back in her place, which is even more fucked up. And as you said, Megan, he enjoyed it. Like, it was a completely different scene from what we've gotten before from the other ceremonies. I think I've said it before, even us as the audience, we do know that the ceremony is rape, but we're kind of we got more upset over this one. Obviously she's pregnant, but it was just because it was violent. And I think they did that on purpose, because when you go to court, one of the things they ask you is, did you fight back? Did you scream? If not, it's not quote unquote a real rape, which we know it's bullshit. So it's it's a really hard scene to watch, but I think there's a lot of layers to it as well.
But even June says like it's a job, and even the voiceover, which comes back here, like she says it's a job you detach. So that's why I think, even though, like you said, the other ones were rapes, they didn't feel like it because everybody's participating, even though she doesn't have a choice.
They're more acceptable, more palatable.
Right. She wasn't able to detach though, because her voiceover is different from the first one. She actually says, not me, not my flesh. So I'm pretty sure she was also, even though she's been raped every month, she was shocked that this was happening to her this way.
Well, with her child in her womb, it's just such a violation. I don't even know the words to describe it.
But then it like makes me like, it hurts even more because you could see her mentally checking out the way she did in episode 5 with the whole Nick wedding and all that stuff, like where she got so depressed that she basically was killing herself. It looked like she was going back into that same mindset, which is terrifying because she almost died.
Because it broke her. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is breaking her again. So it's like sending her right back there.
Did you guys notice that in the next morning, she's still in her handmaid's cloak when Fred walks in? So like she obviously was just like catatonic.
Yeah.
Didn't change into her pajamas,
No, I think she just...
I didn't notice that. That's a good point.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I don't even know if she slept. Who knows? Just catatonic is probably the correct word.
Oh, it's so awful. And it also bothered me that Serena's crying because fuck you, bitch.
Seriously.
So Nick's in his room, flipping his lighter, just staring at June's window, super stressed. And I don't know if you want to read the script notes for that.
He was actually feeling disappointed that he wasn't going to be a father that day. It's not that he was worried about June.
See, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how Nick played it.
I know. That's how I felt too. Yeah.
He looked at her window.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, so he's obviously thinking of her. And it's not like he's going to actually be a father. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to have a chance to raise this child. So I can't see him being like, I'm sad I don't have my baby, but I'm not thinking about my baby mother.
I know.
Like in that house.
That makes no sense.
Plus, Max read the script. He knows what's happening in this moment. Like, there's no way he's not playing it how it looks, which is, I'm worried about what's going on in the house. I'm worried about you and whatever. But
because I do think maybe he's also thinking like, are there going to be consequences for June because she did not have this baby today and embarrass them? You know how they are.
He knows Serena.
Yeah, I mean, I think fully that the way that Max played that was Nick worried about June.
Yeah, he didn't expect for him to end with June and with a baby. Like he's known that since the beginning.
And then Eden is in the kitchen with Rita, and she wants to take the trash out. Do you guys think that was purposefully to run into Isaac, or
yes, because she said dad always took the trash out for her mom. So like it felt like she was thinking about her parents' relationship. So then she jumped at the chance to take out the trash because I think she was thinking about Isaac, especially after seeing Nick and June and their heart eyes.
So she does, and he's out there, and he kindly moves the gun out of the way, and they kiss. And Nick comes outside, like right then, to smoke a cigarette, and he's just watching it completely, like unfeelingly.
I think he's kind of relieved.
Doesn't mind at all. Yeah, probably good for them.
Like, oh, right? I'm off the hook.
I know that he's stressed about Eden's life, so I bet you he's very happy she's got something happy.
Good for her.
Yeah, basically.
And I noticed that it was her that kissed Isaac, you know, like, and her true believer, you know. It was just I noticed when I watched yesterday.
Well, I think it's because she's being a teenager here now. Like she wants that love, and like Isaac, I mean, he's an asshole, right? But he's giving her attention, and she's a 15-year-old girl she's desperate for attention from a boy.
And he probably is too, because he's not, he has those needs too, and they're not allowed to act out on them like at all. So I'm sure he's very receptive and as excited as she is. Yeah.
Sorry, I just don't know if she knows Isaac's an asshole because he acts nice around her, and she wasn't there when he hit her with the gun and stuff.
Well, he's not an asshole to her, so it doesn't matter, I guess.
Does Isaac live like with the household, or where do the guardians live?
No idea. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Because it's only like nice houses around there. They don't live in one of those.
No.
And Nick's got the apartment.
Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah, me too. I'd love to know that.
It's a good question.
And so Eden sees Nick seeing her and races up the stairs. I like how he just like leaves the door open for her to come in because he knows he can't stop it at this point. He's gonna have to deal with it. And he doesn't care at all. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he's like, totally fine. It's fine. You're fine. I'm not mad.
Yeah, he treats her like a child. He's like, it's okay. Yeah. Trouble.
Yeah, you're right. So she's upset. She's apologizing. And he's like, no, it's totally okay. And then she's upset. She's like, you never touched me. I've never been kissed this night. I just cheated on you and you don't care. You're supposed to care. It's the handmaid, isn't it? You like her. Why do you like her? I thought it was funny that she like can't fathom why he would like June. That made me mad.
That was funny.
I felt bad for you for a second. No, I don't care. And he says it would be suicide to get involved with a handmaid. And Eden believes him and says, "What? You just don't love me." And he says, "Sorry,"
which blows my mind that she seems shocked that he's not her.
Right.
I'm like, this girl is so naive. Like, you really thought he was actually in love with you? I mean, you give him cookies in the last episode and he can't even like.
No.
That's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get married and have babies. So she's thinking that because she's married, things automatically are going to be okay. I know it's stupid, but that's the way that she was brought up, unfortunately.
But I don't understand. This scene made me question, like, is love supposed to be involved though, even in Gilead, or is it just making babies? Like, why did she have the expectation of love? I feel like most matched marriages in other societies, I don't feel like there's the expectation of instant love also.
But I get the sense that her parents are in love.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Which maybe that's rare.
Her parents chose each other.
But maybe because they're Akano people technically, right?
Yeah, so they chose each other before Gilead.
Yeah, so I think it's probably unique maybe for her, or maybe in the like Akano people community, maybe there is more love because they're not as regulated.
Right.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Just like Omar and his wife, I mean, they seem to have a normal marriage, I guess, you know, because they were just Ikono people, like you guys said.
But I think one thing about this scene, I've heard this argument before from people who get frustrated with Nick here because they think that, again, like he's being cruel to her and he should tell Eden the truth about June, and that would be the nice thing, and maybe that would help. I've heard this argument multiple times, which baffles me because I'm like, you have a girl, she's very pious. Yeah. She's brainwashed. She's 15 years old. So like she's clearly like a wild card here, and you cannot trust her.
She's gonna turn him in for being gay a minute ago.
Right.
After like 2 nights of not having sex, after he just like helped the handmaid not die outside.
Right. During a crisis, yeah.
Right. So like she couldn't even, after 2 nights, she thinks he's gay. And now all of a sudden, like people think he should tell her he's in love with the handmaid. Like
no.
It blows my mind that people think like,
and it endangers June. He's not going to endanger June. You know?
Right. Why would he trust her and tell her that kind of information? Because that's extreme. Like he even said it's suicide.
Yep.
Right.
Well, sometimes people might think that it was better for him to lie to her. And, you know, when he says, I'm sorry, that's when she realizes that he doesn't love her. He was being honest with her. Isn't that what we want as women? For men to be honest with us?
Yeah.
So, you know, on the other side, people are like, well, he should have lied to her. No,
why?
I mean, that's the truth. Why would he lie? I mean, he wasn't being mean, but he's just, I don't know, honest.
But he's also being kind to her by saying, like, don't get upset that you are kissing this guy. Like, you're not in trouble. It's okay. So again, what more do we want him to do here? I mean, even like he's helpless here because then, you know, once Eden realizes shockingly that he's not in love with her, she's just hysterically crying. And he's like sitting there like, what do I do with this crying girl? I have no clue how to handle this.
And then he says, please don't cry. And she takes it as like an order and covers her mouth. And then he's like, I feel worse, right?
He just can't win.
Yeah.
No.
He has no idea how to handle her. And I wouldn't either. How could you?
Well, next door, his pregnant
wife is
love
violently raped.
Right. Like, so like he's already got enough to deal with the fact that he knows his baby is coming into this world and he doesn't get to keep it. So like now he's got to deal with this. So like I think he did a pretty good job considering his circumstances.
Right. I agree.
I think Sydney Sweeney did a really good job because she was,
yeah,
I know that I'm supposed to feel bad, but it was just like a typical 15-year-old where my whole world is, I mean, obviously this is Gilead, but we've seen this in different shows where they start crying hysterical and poor Nick is just sitting there. I mean, I think any other guy would have just walked out. Like, okay.
I couldn't believe he didn't walk out to smoke a cigarette or something.
He checked out. He didn't walk out, but he checked out. He's like, oh.
But at least
he stayed. Like, yeah.
So then Fred comes into June's room and she's just laying there, like you said, in her handmaid gear still. And she does manage to sit up, probably because she's scared. And he says he's planned a surprise for her and walks her to the car, gives Nick an address and says, be back in 3 hours before Serena notices you're gone. And then he kisses her on the forehead and says she deserves this.
Oh, she's so, we never see June flinch.
Oh, I know, she does.
Oh, she's repulsed.
Yeah.
But I also love how Nick like instantly knew something was wrong.
Yeah. That was hard to watch.
But first there's like a blooper where Nick is like laughing or something as they drive away.
I love that.
He has that odd smile, like grin. Yeah, definitely wasn't supposed to be there.
No.
But this car ride makes me sad though, because it's the same, like I said, she went back to that catatonic state. So like he's trying to talk to her and it's the same thing where she's too mentally checked out to even like, I mean, this is her chance. She could cry to him. She could talk to him.
They never get this much time together.
I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, what a
so
waste.
sad.
Because they had 3 hours to get to be there together.
Yeah.
What if maybe she don't want to tell him?
Yeah, she
I'm
probably
sure
did.
she did.
You guys ever thought that maybe because she looks at him, you know, obviously she's really affected, but she looks over at him. And for a second, I thought maybe she doesn't tell him because she knows that he's going to be pissed. Obviously, it's a risk too for him to know that.
I mean, it would break his heart. He can't do anything. Maybe he would try to do something and that would be stupid.
Yeah.
And I can fully understand her not telling him, even though it's all really sad.
like once they get to the house and see Hannah, I just assume that he kind of knows that something really awful happened, you know, that Fred would allow
Right.
June to go see Hannah. So
during the day while Serena is like,
yeah,
like that's a risk for Fred too. And Nick knows that.
Something so bad to have cracked like Fred's conscience.
Yeah.
Like, that is a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think he knows. I mean, the way he was talking to her in the car, like,
right.
He was just like pleading.
I mean, what else could it be, really?
Yeah.
We kind of know.
Well, then I think, again, he saw June when she was like catatonic the last time. And I think he probably recognizes that. And then I do think it's a good point, though, about June probably wanting to protect him, because what are the options? Either you tell him and it breaks his heart and he can't do anything, so that destroys him. Or you tell him, he gets so angry that he does something to get himself killed.
Yeah. That's absolutely, those are 2 options. So she decides, well, she had 3 options and she decided to take the 3rd option. And anyway, like there's a whole lot more about to happen in her life in the next like 24 hours. So
the amount of things that happens to her,
God.
like, I don't know, her strength is just.
Yeah. So they get to this house in the middle of nowhere and they get out of the car. There's another car there, another SUV, and they're walking inside. They're both just looking around all confused. And I'm curious because I feel like June should probably suspect what it is, because what else could it be? But I wouldn't want to get my hopes up if I was her anyway. So I don't know.
You know what's funny? Well, okay. So first of all, I want to just point out really quick. I love so much how like extra gentle Nick is in this episode with her. Like in the ambulance scene where he's like holding her back in her hand and helping her out of the ambulance. He's so like, he's got that soft touch with her. Yeah. And then here, like he helps her out of the car so gently. And again, he did the same thing, the hand on her back and then holding her other hand.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And then like later on when he brings her into the lake house after, or when the guardians are coming.
Yeah,
like,
when they're running.
When he lets go of her hand, it's like he didn't want to let go. And it was so
I know.
gentle.
They held on. Yeah.
So he's like, I love that. But then I also thought it was funny because he helps her out of the car here. He's holding on to her. And he only lets go of her to touch his gun because he's trying to be protective because he doesn't know. But then it was like they get into the house and then it's like, well, let's just let June go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's so strange.
I'm like, shouldn't he go first? And
Yeah,
like,
he
see
should.
like what is going on? Because then that guardian comes out and I was like, you have 10 minutes.
Right. But that's a good point.
And in my head, like the first time I saw it, I'm like, 10 minutes for what? Like, why are we not checking this out?
Yeah. That's a good point. And it looks like you see her first inkling was looking down at the kid's shoes. And the guardian tells her she has 10 minutes and nods towards the room. And as she turns the corner into the room, she sees Hannah and she freezes. And it's just like tears for me too. And it's really sad. And she runs to her and drops to her knees and holds her, kissing her and smelling her. Hi, Hannah Banana. And it pans to Nick, who also has tears in his eyes. And Hannah gets scared and runs to her Martha. And the Martha tells June to call her Agnes, which she does not do, right? No.
No.
June asks if she remembers her, and Hannah nods. And she asks if it hurt. She's like, "Did what hurt, baby?" And she said, "When they hit you on the back of the head." And it's just so sad because that's like what she's been living with. That was the last sight she saw of her mom. And she didn't know if she's alive, probably. I mean, maybe they told her. And then Hannah asks if she tried to find her and why she didn't try harder. The saddest line for me is, "I waited for you." And I just I just started crying because like, can you imagine every day she's sitting there thinking maybe my mom will come today.
And I think that's why she's mad, because she got tired of waiting, or we don't know what they told her, you know, what they've been telling her to brainwash her.
True.
I was talking to Violet today about this episode and I told her, I'm like, we've seen some fucked up scenes in this show. We just saw one. We've seen some beautiful scenes in this show, but this scene for me is a one scene that affects me on a deeper level. Every time that I watch it or I talk about it, hopefully it won't happen now. it really affects me. I still haven't figured out exactly why. Obviously the acting and the wording is amazing, but it's a really difficult scene for me to like actually watch.
I just think it's your instinct as a parent, as like a mother. We always think of our worst fear, and isn't one of your worst fears somebody taking your child and wondering what they're thinking? You know they're going to be calling your name, you know, mommy, where are you? You know that. I mean, gosh, and you can't get to them, and you know, and they're waiting for you. And just, I'm sure she's thought about that for years, thinking, I wonder if Hannah's mad at me. I wonder if she's wondering why we never came.
And of course she is. That's the saddest part.
Think about as a mother, like even when your child is a baby, when they, you know, you put them in their crib and they cry for you, like as a mother, that like your instinct is to go get your child.
Yeah, it's painful. It's a painful feeling when your kid is crying out to you and you can't get to them, even like when you're crying it out in their room, which I never did, but because I couldn't. I'm like, it's gone on 10 minutes. Like I'm crying now. Like, gotta go get my baby. I can't imagine. No.
For me, it's just the kid not understanding. Like thinking about the kid not understanding. That's what I can't get past.
Well, you are their world. And
right. I mean, and they think that you can protect them from anything. And the scariest thing is that you can't, and you try your best. And then look what happened to.
And they think it's love. They think, oh, does that mean mommy didn't love me? She didn't come back for me. They just, you know, it's so complicated in their minds.
And what Hannah says just pulls more into June's guilt, because I mean, June knows that there was nothing that she could have done, but she still feels guilty because you feel that as a mom, you have to do anything to protect your children. And I remember the first time that I saw this scene, I got mad because I thought that the way that they were going to go was they were going to make it seem like Hannah didn't remember her, and I was not going to be able to deal with that. I was like, give her something. And since Hannah hides behind the Martha, I was already hysterically crying. And I was like, they did it. They went there. She's not going to remember. And every time that I see the scene, my husband happens to walk in, and he's like, he walked in yesterday. He's like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? And I'm like, it's for research. I'll be fine.
It's so impressive to me that June like still like validates like Hannah's anger, like, and she like answers her questions like very honestly. Like Hannah knows that June is not going to be able to keep this baby, and like she doesn't lie to her, but I don't know, she's just keeping it together, and she's just, you know, she knows that Hannah knows, you know, everything that's going on. So like, I don't know, I was just impressed by how June was able to still stay calm while she was talking to Hannah.
No, she's amazing.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think, and Scarlett, maybe this is what you can't like put your finger on, like why this scene gets you. But I think for me, as a mother, like hearing your child say, why didn't you try harder? I have new parents now. Like, I feel like it cuts you like a knife to hear your child say that about you, especially when you know that she's doing everything she can to get to her. Right. So like, I really, really love how they wrote this scene. And Bruce actually said that they did a lot of research with the UN they wanted to make this as realistic as possible as what these children are feeling like when they're separated from their parents. And I think for me, like knowing how much of a knife to the heart this is for June to hear her baby say this, and to know that her child has been in pain for all these years, and to, like, to be like confronted with that, but she held it together, which is such a hard thing as a mother to, like, you have your own pain and you have to completely set that aside to comfort your baby and give her that selfless love that she needs. And so I think like you said, Marigold, like her strength and her patience, and acknowledge, like, not lying to her, you know, telling her the truth, but then quickly spinning it. So like, especially when Hannah realizes she's having a baby and she's like, yeah, you're right, I can't keep it, but you're still my baby. I still love you, you know? So I think that's just what gets me, like her strength in this whole entire scene, because like watching it just makes me want to crumple up in a ball and just sob my eyes out. But June can't do that right now because she's got to comfort her.
I think she's also trying to create just at least a small memory for Hannah. She's trying to create a pleasant memory for Hannah. I mean, obviously she knows this is going to be traumatic. This is going to kind of revisit old wounds for Hannah, but I guess she just wants her to have something so that she can remember her mother and understand that it's not that her mother left her or that her mother doesn't love her. It's just for some reason that she's obviously not going to be able to understand because she's 8. She just can't be with her mother. So I mean, yeah, like you guys say, her strength in this scene is just amazing.
And Yalin Chang wrote it, and she's a mom of 3. And I was just reading what she said about like, you know, and like you said, they did a lot of research, and at the time there were children being torn away in America. So it was a very real thing happening. I mean, it's always a real thing happening somewhere, and you know, it was happening here. But she said for a child developmentally at that age, even though she'd been prepared before seeing her mother, she would be really flooded with contradictory emotions upon seeing her. When Alfred runs in and hugs her, she shies away and runs to her Martha. She's just really overwhelmed and shocked. She didn't really know what happened to her mother. It's just sort of too much for her to process. And she has these feelings of abandonment. One of the things I was told she would replay in her head was the last time she saw her mother. When Hannah in the scene said, "Did it hurt you when they hit you on the head?" It hits Alfred that what Hannah has been doing for the last 3 years is reimagining and replaying that horrible scene that starts off the show in the pilot where she's ripped away. And Hannah's just been living in that for trying to figure out what happened to her mom. And the other thing is that even though she saw bad men take her mother away, Hannah, or a child of that age, would feel abandoned and angry because all she understands in her universe is, I want my mom. Every day I waited for my mom. I wanted to see her and she didn't come. She wasn't there for me when I needed her. That's so sad. That would make her feel angry and resentful, and it would make her feel abandoned. And the psychologist said to some extent, Hannah has to write her mom off. She cannot cognitively make sense of the idea that I love my mother. I still love her. I'm waiting for her. She's going to come. Kids have to adapt. And she had to accept her new reality. And that involves not longing for her mom anymore. And it really disrupts her equilibrium to see her again. So like, this is a very traumatic event, even though it's what June has wanted for so long. It's going to traumatize the shit out of Hannah, you know?
If she did Hannah let her go. I mean,
at least she got a redo, and she did it like without her being torn out of her arms this time. Like, I think that was important.
They got a goodbye this time instead of,
but it's just a heartbreaking scene. Well done, Yellen. Really, you got everybody crying here.
Yeah, I'm like, I have tears.
But what gets me too, though, like, I really love, and I know this was unscripted, that Nick is tearing up watching this, because obviously this is all about June and Hannah, right? But I do think, like, first of all, Nick, this is the first time he's seeing
Hannah for real.
June, which he knows how desperately June loves her daughter. And so this is the first time he gets to see her be a mother, which I think probably makes him fall even more in love with her. But I think it's also like probably a little bit of a reality check for him too. No, and even June too, probably, like, they realizing that their days are numbered where this baby is coming. Another child is going to be ripped away from her, and like Nick's only child is going to be ripped away from him, and
reality is setting in.
So like it almost makes, and then like they show Nick that second time looking at her, and I almost wonder if he's like formulate, like almost like in 110 where the second June tells him she's pregnant, he's like formulating a plan to get them out. Like, I almost wonder if that's what he's doing now, thinking like, you know, I've known all these years that June wants to get Hannah out, but like seeing this and seeing the pain and seeing how desperately they just want to be together, you know, like.
Well, I do think from this moment forth, it is a more real goal for him. I think that it's something that he wouldn't feel comfortable leaving Gilead without now getting Hannah for June.
Yeah.
After he's seen this, I feel like he cares for Hannah as a child as well.
Yeah.
Because he loves her mother that way, you know?
But it's like, it's one thing knowing in your head something, but like being confronted with that reality.
Totally.
Like, obviously, you know that they want to see each other, but like seeing this visceral pain between these two is just, it shatters your heart, you know?
Yeah, and he'll never forget that. That's, Have we cried enough?
But did we talk about the part where June asks if they hit her?
Oh, right.
And Martha's like, they only hit her twice.
Yeah,
I would fucking kill somebody. Yeah, but that part always pisses me off. Like,
I know.
Like, I can't have my fucking kid. I personally don't believe in, you know, spanking myself. Like, and I just like to have another fucking person touch my fucking kid is just like, no. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, she can't do anything. She probably feels that way, and she can't do anything. And that's
I know.
Awful. It's just so awful because, you know, she wanted her to say no, but instead she said only when I'm bad, which is like the worst answer because you think that you deserve getting hit when you're bad now, right?
And I wonder if they do biblical punishments where they, like Serena, like got the whip. I wonder if that's what they do to the children. That's why she's like, only twice. I wonder if it's like a event. And I'm sure June is probably like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like they're whipping my kid, you know?
I think we all know that
switch.
children don't always listen to their parents. And you know, Hannah saying she was only hit twice for being bad makes me think that it probably was bad, because realistically, I feel like your own kids, like I think about my children, I have to usually say more than 2 times, like not to do something. So like if she's learning that quickly to behave and not mess up as an 8-year-old, to me, that means there must have been severe enough consequences to make that sink in quickly.
Yeah, well, she got the switch. Like it's like probably a biblical thing, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. I mean, I'm sure they did a whole thing and quoted the Bible, and then, you know, only took twice, and she's going to be well behaved now.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. So, and then the guy like abruptly is like, you got to go now. And he grabs her, like literally doesn't give her like 1 second. So she chases her out into the hall, and they're saying goodbye, trying to say goodbye there. And she's saying all the right stuff. You know, she's saying, I need you to keep yourself safe. Try like be happy, and
me and daddy love you.
Yeah, and we'll always be your parents, because she said I have new parents, and we'll always love you. And they're still like ripping her out of her arms, and they do that. They're outside. They tell Nick keep her inside, and she runs.
But then she's like, I feel like you could actually, and Elizabeth Moss, I mean, obviously I know we always talk about how amazing she is, but I mean, she's not a mother in real life. So her acting in this scene just blows me away. Like she deserved the Emmy for this, because she was phenomenal. But like when the part where, you know, after she says that her and Luke love her, you know, she's telling Hannah, be happy, love your parents. Like you could, I feel like you could see her heart breaking as she's saying these words to her, you know? Right. And I think like it starts to break Hannah when she says all that too, because she's she's like, mommy.
Yes. She's yelling.
And you know, and then again, hearing your child say, especially an 8-year-old saying mommy, like not mom, but mommy, like that's just, it hurts.
Yeah, that's when Hannah asks her, am I ever going to see you again?
Right. Yeah.
And June like looks at her, smiles, and she says, I'm going to try. Like she doesn't say yes. She doesn't leave her with hope. She doesn't say no. So it's just, again, the writing in this episode is just amazing. And something that called my attention is the way that Lizzie keeps holding on to Hannah's coat. Because for me, that was her kind of holding on to this moment and trying to ground herself with probably all the emotions she was having in this moment.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's also her being a mother, because she can't do that. So like, what can I do for her? I can tie her a little
fixing the coat. Yeah.
Like,
Be a mother.
I noticed that. And so so now Hannah is getting increasingly like upset and yelling mommy and crying, and they're ripping her out of her arms again like last time, and they take her outside and tell Nick like keep her inside, and he tries that for like 2 seconds, and he's like, okay.
I love that it's like he barely tries, and he's like, all right, I'm done, I'm not doing this.
So she runs outside and drops to her knees, and she's holding Hannah. And this time they give her the space that they should to properly say goodbye. And
because she wants to do it on her own terms. She doesn't want her to be left with that memory again of like they drove all this way. They got to meet. Like that's what pissed me off about this Guardian. Like I understand these are harsh people, but like you're watching this, don't you? Aren't you a human with a heart? Like, can we just say, hey guys, wrap it up? Like
I think it's because something happened.
Yeah, I think somebody's coming and they know.
That's why they had to rip it up.
So I do think that it was abrupt because they got noticed that somebody was on the road or something. But maybe not. Maybe it's just an asshole, because a lot of them are. Could go either way. So so this time she's able to properly say goodbye and tell Hannah to go. And just it's a nicer parting. And she holds it together until Hannah's in the car and they start to pull away, and then she just breaks, like as broken as she's ever been, like as devastated as we've ever seen her.
I see a parallel here too. Like, you know, we've all heard this. So people love to say that June is selfish, right? And she can be sometimes, but what to me, I see a parallel here to Nick, actually. The way, you know, we just talked about the last episode, how selflessly he loves her. And that's what we're seeing here. Like June is not being selfish. She's, like I said earlier, she's sacrificing like her own pain and feelings to make sure she can give her daughter this good memory, even though it's still traumatizing. I don't know. It's the selflessness, I think, is just, again, what makes this scene so powerful. Just like we felt in the last episode, seeing Nick be so selfless with June, it's powerful. And again, like I've said before, it's biblical love. This is what the Bible preaches that Gilead does not preach,
Yeah.
And you don't see that from Serena, at all.
Really? We don't? Sorry, I was being sarcastic.
So she's on her knees in the snow, and Nick runs to her and apparently drops to his knees. But this is another place where a wide angle would have been welcome. I would have liked to see him on his knees in the snow holding her. But I do love how she clings to him, like Hannah was clinging to her, but like even more so. She's just devastated, and she's holding on to him so tightly, and he's holding on to her so tightly, and he's kissing her head, and it's like completely heartbreaking scene, but the love between them,
it's a beautiful scene,
is also really beautiful.
This is honestly like one of my favorite Nick and June scenes,
Mm-hmm.
because, well, first of all, I'm obsessed with the cinematography in this scene.
I know, it's beautiful.
I love how like their dark colors and like Nick's dark features contrast so much with the snow. But anyways, this is truly, I mean, there's so many favorite scenes I have, but this one, I don't know, it hits me hard because, like you said, she's clinging to him. I love that when he hugs her, he does that thing where he's holding her head. It's so protective.
I know. And the bonnet like comes off.
Like he's covering her head.
Yeah.
She's clinging to him. Like he's kissing her forehead. He's closing his eyes because he's in pain.
Yeah.
Watching this. And I feel like this is probably one of the scenes in the entire series where the love between them is so palpable and like it's so strong. And it's like she's so raw in this moment, and so vulnerable, and he just like he loves her through it, and he's hurting too, and again, like this is a reminder of what's going to be happening very soon. And I just, this coming after seeing June and Hannah together, which is so powerful, and then you add in this scene where the love between them is so powerful, like it just I love it so much.
And he's the only person that she's ever been vulnerable with, and it's so perfect that he's there so that she can be, and she can experience this awful pain. Anyway, I hate it, but I also love it. Like you said, I do rewatch this part of it. I don't watch the Hannah part very often because it's too hard. But anyway, Nick is all of a sudden like, wait, you gotta get up, June, you gotta get up, which is when they're on their knees, because then they have to stand up because there's someone coming, and he still like very gently like guides her inside, but quickly they gotta go. And when they get inside, he has no idea what to do, clearly, and he's like, okay, all right, hide, I'll be back. And like you said, they like linger, like he doesn't let go of her hand until he like absolutely has to. And he goes outside and tries to like cover, and the guys don't believe him. I think, does he try to like karate?
Yeah, he does some little move.
He pushes, I guess he saw the guy pull the gun and he pushes it down, which is like, oh, what's going on here? And then that's why the gun goes off like on the floor.
They drag an unconscious Nick into the car. What happened? And it's very upsetting for June because the number of things that happened in the past 24 hours is insane. Hannah's been ripped from her. Now we don't know what's happened to Nick. And they drive off, and she runs out after them. I think she'd like to go with them, what with her options and with Nick being in that car. But too late.
And they took their car too.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no car. And she's on her own in this very beautiful scene. And that is the end of the episode, right?
Well, but they do that. Why they do the what's it called? The drone shot, where that's like they're trying to show there's nothing around here. So she's truly deserted.
Right. I looked at that license plate, and I was really excited at first because it was like 910, and what popped up was like tarot cards, 910 meaning, and it said, "This angelic sign asks you to act selflessly. Think of others first. Think of the well-being of your loved ones." But then I opened the link, and it also meant like 100 other things. So it's complete bullshit. False alarm. It sounded nice at first. Okay, I think that's a wrap on our spoiler-free analysis of season 2, episode 10. Come back tomorrow for a Shining Girls episode, and on Wednesday for our deep dive of this episode. If you're a longtime fan, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Come on, Ginger. What the fuck?
I said it.
You know, I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's her day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Her father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you?
Your girlfriend is a badass.